Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday, the 12th of February, comes to you from London. And really, the market's looking a little bit more perky this morning with hopes of trade discussions going better between US and China. So we're seeing the dollar still strong. It jumped yesterday. It's flat towards the end of the day, and it's just down slightly this morning. But we have activated this upside target now to 99.77 on the dollar index. That's 2.8% higher. And we have seen a trend change in the medium-term chart where we're starting to see bullish on that chart as well in the point and figure. So dollar strength is still the theme, and interestingly, we've just activated that upside target yesterday. So that's quite significant. That means euro weakness against the dollar, and we're seeing that away in the medium-term charts. This November low is the key. If we see that being broken, then we're back to levels that we saw in mid-2017, and that's not good for the euro. Downside potential here of some 2.4%. We've got a massive downside target on the long-term chart that's been activated, and on this medium-term chart, we're just on the cusp of activating a target to 104, which is some 7% lower. So that would be quite significant if we see that target activated. We need to close below probably 112 to activate that. The Japanese yen, we're seeing the dollar looking stronger here. Medium term, we're just coming through the cloud. And against sterling, we're seeing sterling actually up against the dollar this morning, but it has been especially weak against the dollar. And against this euro, sterling is also looking weaker. And against the Swiss franc, we're seeing a little bit of strength this morning, but below the cloud there. And against the Aussie dollar, we're just wandering into bearish territory again. Bitcoin continues to fall, down 0.6% this morning, so really no respite there. US markets were mixed last night. The S&P 500 index was just slightly up. The Nasdaq just struggled, and we're seeing here maybe hitting some medium-term resistance on the cloud. The Dow Jones was down 0.2%. So again, hitting some resistance here on the cloud. Is this rally just starting to run out of steam? That is the big question. We have got some short-term downside targets as well. The broader-based Russell 2000 index is still looking okay, but just again running flat, having had a pretty good start. So we see this run up, and then we're just starting to flatten out. We see that curvature show up in the weekly chart there, where we're just starting to run out of steam a little bit. We are seeing the futures up this morning. The S&P future up 0.57%, and the Nasdaq E-mini up to 0.75%. So it does suggest the US market will open higher today. We've got a 2.8% upside target that's activated on that short-term chart, so maybe we just see another kick up now. The FTSE 100 index is up 0.3% this morning, looking pretty good still on the short-term chart. Medium term, we've still got work to do to turn bullish there, and lots of resistance there on the point and figure charts. Looking at the 250, we are seeing a little bit a better recovery, although we're down slightly this morning on the chart, but we've still got work to do as well. The DAX this morning is up 1.2%. So that's looking strong. A weaker euro probably helping a little bit there, and the CAC Quarante up 0.7%, looking pretty good on that short-term chart, but medium and long-term still have work to do. The Japanese market was up 2%, was down 2% the day before, so we're seeing quite a lot of volatility there. Hang Seng little change, but looking still pretty strong short and medium term. And the Chinese market actually up as well. Was up even more this morning. He's just receded somewhat, giving those gains, but looking like a medium-term transition for the Chinese market. But we still do have quite a lot of targets hanging over us to the downside. Notice how the short-term upside target was given and met. That's quite interesting that we saw that target given back at 25.82. We got to 26.71. That's where we've got to. So that is bullish confirmation, but we need another pullback in the price before we'd get another target. So at the moment, there's no clear upside for the short term for the Chinese market. The Sensex is still looking pretty good, down 0.2% this morning, but these multiple upside targets are very, very compelling for the Indian market. The Aussie market looking better as well, back into bullish territory on all three time frames. So that's now quite good, and we've got short-term targets of 5%, 2% and 2%, so looking good there. The interest rate outlook now for lower rates in the Aussie market is helping stocks. Looking at Brent crude, we're up this morning. We're at 61.88. We just can't quite break back above that 62 level, so we're a little bit in the doldrums. We've been flat here for a few weeks. That's really showing up in the chart. Maybe just hitting some long-term resistance here in that rollover. And looking at WTI, much the same picture. This is normally the strong quarter for crude oil, but it's not showing through yet. So we're nearly halfway through the quarter, and we're not really seeing the performance kicking in. US nat gas sitting at $2.64, so still in the doldrums there. Gold is up slightly this morning on a less strong dollar, so we are seeing short-term bullish. We've got upside targets here. If we can break above this 1325, 1326 high that we saw just recently, if we can break above that a couple of weeks ago, then that will activate a big upside target to above $1,400. The trend's looking pretty good on the medium-term chart, and the long-term we're just breaking through. So gold's still looking pretty good. Silver also looking stronger there as well. US 10-year yields sitting just 2.68%, just struggling to break through in the short term, and US bonds, the bond market looking quite good, although short term we're seeing the bonds just selling off there. Taking a look at the individual stocks, first of all we look at the Nasdaq. So we see here on the Nasdaq we've got quite a lot of fallers there. Just looking, we had Amazon were actually up very slightly. Google just struggling, having broken out in the short term, just coming back into the cloud. Apple, of course, the big one that we look at, seeing that there, we've got a little bit of recovery, but still got work to do. Maybe finding long-term support on the lagging line on Apple, but medium-term we've got some resistance. The on-balance volume not looking great here either. We're just really struggling to break to new highs there. So it's interesting that we're just not seeing the volume behind a lot of these recoveries. The same on the Facebook stock, looking good on that medium-term recovery, but the volume not kicking up quite as much as the price. Taking a look at some of the other bellwethers, we've got Microsoft down slightly, and Netflix also down. And if we look at the performers in the Nasdaq, we saw that actually Tesla were up 2.3%, the third best performing stock. The Aussie market, we've got quite a few big performers here. Ausdrill there, it seemed to be on the leaderboard quite a lot at the moment, and that looks like a recovery going on there. We've got an upside target of some 35% there, so that is looking interesting. And we see that we've got a lot of work to do on that relative chart, but Ausdrill looking better. Not quite seeing the on-balance volume reflecting that. And then if we look at the other side of the coin, we've got Pact Group down some 9%, so really big falls there. Chinese stocks, as we mentioned, quite mixed, but we have got Sanyuan up 7%, China Southern Airlines up nearly 3%, so we are seeing some quite big performances there. And in the Nifty 50, Tata Steel are the leader today, up 2.8%, so they're looking quite good there. Z Entertainment up 2.63%, and Vedanta, the third best, up 2.3%, but looking pretty bearish. Here we see the live prices just kicking in from Yahoo Finance. Every minute we get updates just kicking in from Yahoo. It's a great free data source. Bharti Infratel on the laggards board, one of the better looking stocks, but just down today, so that's quite key. Looking across to Europe now, the FTSE 100 index, we start by just ranking the performance here. Best performer this morning is Ocado, up 2.3%, still looking pretty good. They're recovering from that fire last week, so we are just seeing performance there. Antofagasta also looking good, Melrose, and WPP getting some respite after a pretty terrible couple of years, looking at the chart there. Looking at the worst performers, TUI Group continue to fall, down 5%. Just no floor here. That's activated at a downside target, another 40% lower, on both the medium and long-term charts. So TUI stock just looks absolutely dire, and we're seeing that with airlines generally. EasyJet down this morning. International Airlines Group, British Airways Iberia down as well. So we're really seeing that some hits there. Persimmon, Barron Development, properties down. Taylor Woodrow, Sage, we see has been quite a good recovery, but they're down quite heavily this morning. So we're just seeing really a fall across the board, and even retailers, Sainsbury's, Marks and Spencers, we're seeing there too. Morrison supermarkets all in the fallers. Taking a look at the 250, this is the mid caps in the UK. We've got Ted Baker up 3%. They've had a pretty tough year, with the stock looking better there. Aston Martin, of course, floated recently and haven't really got off onto a great start there. And then if I look at the other end, we've got Plus 500 Group down 6%. So that's a pretty big fall for them. IG Holdings down as well. So we're seeing some pretty big fallers still in the market. Euro Stock 600, again coming in from Yahoo Finance, just ranking the best performers. We've got quite a lot of Polish entrants into the 600 recently. We've got in France, we've got Company Generale, they're up 9%. And for Asia up 2%, 5% in Paris. Quite a lot of these German and French stocks looking quite good this morning. Taking a look at the negative side, we have got some quite big fallers. IG Holdings down 6%, Origin up down 5%. So it's still a mixed picture, and that's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.